With Ji Chunying's schemes unfolding in the shadows, Shi Qingluo decides to turn the tables. She orchestrates a meeting with the second prince, intending to use the prince's infatuation with his concubine to stir chaos in his own household. The plan takes an unexpected turn when the group arrives at the jewelry shop, only to run into the detestable Xiao Yuanxi and his mistress, Ji Chunru. The air grows heavy with past grievances as the two parties clash on the public street. Unfazed by social conventions, Shi Qingluo confronts Ji Chunru directly, exposing the scandalous nature of her status. The tension spikes as Ji Chunru attempts to use her position as an elder to bully Shi Qingluo, only to find her opponent ready for the duel. With biting sarcasm, Shi Qingluo tears down the facade of Xiao Yuanxi and Ji Chunru, publicly questioning their unethical relationship as uncle and niece. The shock among the onlookers is palpable as the truth is laid bare for all to see. To the astonishment of everyone, including her own family, Mother Xiao steps forward and strikes Xiao Yuanxi and Ji Chunru. The decades of suppressed hurt transform into a powerful display of defiance that silences the scumbag father. Transformation is complete. Mother Xiao has shed her timid shell. Encouraged by her daughter-in-law and children, she stands tall, realizing that she no longer needs to fear the man who once shattered her life. Enraged by the humiliation, Xiao Yuanxi attempts to exert his authority through intimidation. Yet, he finds his usual tactics ineffective against a woman who has finally stopped caring about his approval. Shi Qingluo ups the ante, threatening to take their grievances directly to the emperor by presenting a new invention. Fearing the loss of his reputation and status, Xiao Yuanxi finds himself backed into a corner by his own daughter-in-law. With the public now firmly against the scandalous pair, Zai Rui and Liang Yaoxiao lend their support, cementing the narrative of Xiao Yuanxi's moral failure. The onlookers turn from curious spectators into vocal critics of the general. Crushed by the weight of public shaming, Ji Chunru collapses in a dramatic faint. The scene descends into chaos, leaving Xiao Yuanxi no choice but to retreat in total disgrace, his ego shattered. The retreat is swift and ugly. Xiao Yuanxi flees the scene, clutching his disgraced mistress, effectively turning them into the laughingstock of the capital. Mother Xiao feels the heavy chains of the past fall away. Her heart is finally light, and she embraces this new, fearless version of herself encouraged by her supportive daughter-in-law. Nearby, the second prince witnesses the downfall of his pawn, Xiao Yuanxi. He realizes that Shi Qingluo is far more formidable and dangerous than he ever anticipated. Ji Chunying is left to grapple with the shame cast upon her own family name. She watches the encounter with cold, simmering hatred, marking Shi Qingluo as her ultimate rival. High above, the emperor and his brother, Liang Yulin, have watched the entire ordeal. They discuss the implications of Xiao Yuanxi's fall, with the emperor quietly pleased that his unreliable general has exposed his own incompetence. The emperor urges Liang Yulin to settle down and find a wife, emphasizing that he should not remain lonely. Liang Yulin, resigned to his fragile health, remains hesitant, unaware of the path destiny is weaving for him. Downstairs, the meeting with the princes begins. Shi Qingluo immediately asserts her dominance, delivering a stinging jab to Ji Chunying's ego by comparing their appearances with brutal honesty. The tension in the room is suffocating for Ji Chunying, who is forced to endure the casual cruelty of Shi Qingluo and Zai Rong. As the insults fly, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary social gathering. It is a battle of wits. At the restaurant, Liang Hengshao deflects the rumors surrounding him, effectively insulting his own companion, Ji Chunying, to favor the clever Shi Qingluo. When Ji Chunying attempts to play the victim with fake tears, she is met with merciless mockery from Shi Qingluo and Zai Rong, who goad her into performing. Ignoring the tension, Shi Qingluo shamelessly brags about her beauty and her husband's taste, a display of self-confidence that leaves the rest of the group speechless. Ji Chunying's attempt to shame Shi Qingluo for her appetite backfires spectacularly, as Shi Qingluo turns the insult into a critique of Ji Chunying's own shriveled figure. The humiliation continues as Liang Hengshao openly agrees with Shi Qingluo, urging his own companion to gain weight, leaving Ji Chunying emotionally devastated. Shi Qingluo delivers a lethal social blow, forcing Ji Chunying to confront the scandalous nature of her sister's relationship with Xiao Yuanxi in front of the entire group. As the group relentlessly questions Shi Qingluo about her family's twisted dynamics, she realizes she is completely surrounded and humiliated by those who refuse to let her sister's past schemes go unpunished. Unable to withstand the verbal onslaught, Shi Qingluo resorts to the classic act of fainting, a move that Shi Qingluo correctly identifies as a calculated, performative retreat. The second prince orders Shi Qingluo to be taken home, privately finding her theatrics tiresome compared to the refreshing, albeit sharp, honesty of Shi Qingluo. Back in the carriage, Shi Qingluo attempts to regain favor with charm, oblivious to the fact that the prince is already mentally distancing himself from her. The prince showers her with empty gestures like a private kitchen. The scandal from the jewelry shop has already cemented their status as the capital's latest laughingstock. Fearing public backlash, Xiao Yuanqi fakes an illness to avoid the court, but the censors are relentless, criticizing his moral failings and questioning his military command. Summoned by the emperor, Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo deliberate on how to leverage their knowledge of glassmaking and rubber trees to benefit their future prospects. Tensions rise at home as Xiao Yuanqi refuses to see his wife, Shi Qingluo, leaving her to lash out in anger as the family's reputation continues to crumble. The couple enters the imperial palace, well aware that their confrontation with Xiao Yuanqi has set the stage for a dangerous political dance with the emperor. During their audience, the emperor tests Xiao Hanzheng's medical expertise, subtly tasking him with the care of Prince Yi, a secret brother of the emperor. With calculated precision, Shi Qingluo introduces the concept of rubber, detailing its myriad military and civilian applications to capture the emperor's interest. Instead of immediate gold or land, Shi Qingluo makes a bold request. She asks the emperor to seek justice for Mother Xiao, showing her unwavering loyalty to family. The emperor agrees, confirming he will strip Xiao Yuanqi of his position, a political move that ensures a permanent rift between the general and his estranged son. With the palace negotiations concluded, the weight of a secret bargain hangs in the air as Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo depart, leaving the emperor to deliberate with the crown prince. The emperor, weighing the value of Shi Qingluo's wisdom against the political thorns in his side, schemes to use the ambitious Xiao Yuanqi as bait to flush out King Jin. Stripped of his hard-won position and exiled back to the northern border, Xiao Yuanqi realizes too late that his ambitions have finally backfired under the emperor's calculated move. As the court whispers of her hidden influence, Shi Qingluo finds herself unwillingly cast as the scapegoat for a political exile she barely initiated, reflecting on the heavy price of her master's reputation. In the warmth of a social gathering, Shi Qingluo unveils the secret of rubber to her curious, noble friends, sensing a golden opportunity to unite their fortunes under the banner of progress. With a flick of her brush, Shi Qingluo maps out the plants that will transform their industries, promising her companions not just wealth, but a place at the forefront of the empire's new era. Seeing the potential for glory, the once distant Cai Yiyang sheds his reserve, shamelessly elbowing his way into Shi Qingluo's inner circle, much to the disdain of his rivals. Seizing the moment, Cai Yiyang secures his future by aligning with Shi Qingluo, agreeing to her terms for the exclusive distribution of the rubber crop. With the map of their future prosperity tucked under his arm, Liang Yaoxiao races home, desperate to present this breakthrough to his family before the others catch wind. Interrupting the family's debate on court vacancies, Liang Yaoxiao brings not only an answer to their problems, but a new way to dominate the capital's attention. The weight of the rubber discovery falls upon the Liang household, as the clan leaders realize the strategic, military, and financial potential of Shi Qingluo's gift. A sharp negotiation ensues between grandfather and grandson. They form a pact that balances the family's hunger for status with Liang Yaoxiao's calculated ambition for his own slice of the trade. Across the city, Zai Rui and Fei Yuge mirror the Liang family's actions, ensuring their own lineages are positioned to capture the coming tide of wealth. Within the Cai household, the tables turn as Cai Yiyang arrives with the formula, silencing his mocking cousins and cementing his own importance to his grandfather's legacy. Cai Yiyang successfully navigates the perilous waters of his family's hierarchy, securing approval and support for his alliance with Shi Qingluo. Isolated and bitter, Xiao Yuanqi drowns his regrets in alcohol, unable to face the consequences of his actions or the woman who shares his disgrace. Ignored by the man who ruined her, Ji Chunru's despair turns into cold, calculated vengeance, as she begins to weave a dangerous web aimed at her enemies. The cold winter of the capital is no match for the warmth of the imperial hot spring manor. Shi Qingluo and Xiao Hanzheng find a moment of rare intimacy, shedding their heavy cloaks to reveal their affection for one another amidst the rising steam. While the couple enjoys their private peace, Mother Xiao and Xiao Bailey are lured away under the guise of helping a neighbor in distress. As the carriage veers off path into a dark forest, the realization hits them. They have been cruelly deceived. The carriage stops abruptly, revealing the culprit behind the scheme. Standing before them, clothed in a deceptive display of elegance, is none other than the man they have long since discarded from their lives, Xiao Yuanqi. The mask of the gentleman fails to intimidate Mother Xiao. With newfound strength and a sharp tongue, she cuts through Xiao Yuanqi's pleasantries, demanding to know the reason behind his treacherous lure. Realizing his charms won't work on his ex-wife, the schemer shifts his focus to his daughter. He attempts to paint a picture of a regretful father, but Xiao Bailey, guided by her sister-in-law's wisdom, sees right through the weasel's trap. Xiao Bailey refuses to be softened by his false nostalgia. In a move that shocks her own father, she demands an exorbitant price for his supposed sincerity, turning his manipulative game into a financial demand he didn't expect. The tables are turned as the mother and daughter dissect Xiao Yuanqi's history of negligence. They contrast his stinginess toward his own flesh and blood with his lavish spending on his mistress's family, leaving the general speechless and ashamed. Every attempt by Xiao Yuanqi to reclaim his past image as a loving husband is met with a cutting reminder of his failures. The woman who once trembled before him now sees only a scoundrel, and her words are sharp enough to pierce his pride. Caught off guard by Mother Xiao's vibrant transformation and newfound confidence, Xiao Yuanqi experiences a moment of genuine confusion. He sees the woman he discarded as a fading shadow, now standing radiant and powerful, and a flicker of his old obsession resurfaces. Desperate to mend the rift and serve his own agenda, Xiao Yuanqi makes a staggering offer, his own hot spring manor. He hopes this bribe will finally be the key to buying his way back into their lives. Xiao Bailey wastes no time in locking in the deal. Why should they let their scumbag father's assets benefit his concubine when they could claim them for themselves? The transaction is agreed upon, to Xiao Yuanqi's internal dismay. The indignity continues as the mother and daughter invent humiliating titles for their former patriarch. Xiao Yuanqi struggles to maintain his composure as they openly ridicule his attempts to demand the respect of a father. Dismissed like a common servant after the deal is struck, Xiao Yuanqi finds himself out of his depth. The woman he once controlled has become a stranger who treats him with nothing but cold, calculated indifference. As the carriage rolls away, Xiao Yuanqi stands alone in the forest, unaware that his every move has been watched. High above, a silent witness observes the unfolding drama, setting the stage for even greater complications. Back at the manor, the family gathers to debrief. Mother Xiao recounts the strange encounter, finding a sympathetic and strategic audience in Shi Qingluo, who instantly perceives the darker intentions behind the general's sudden generosity. Shi Qingluo turns the tables entirely. She instructs the younger ones to play along with the general's charade, using his own greed and pride to bleed the general's residence dry, all while annoying his mistress to the point of collapse. The path forward is set. Instead of rejecting his hollow efforts, they will embrace them, only to twist them into a weapon against him. The general wanted to play a father, and now he will pay the price for it. The air grows cold as the family discusses the ulterior motives of the man who discarded them. Mother Xiao realizes the scumbag father is attempting to manipulate his way back into her life, but Shi Qingluo has other plans to ensure he pays for his arrogance. With a wicked glint in her eye, Shi Qingluo proposes a scheme to weaponize the father's own secrets. Xiao Hanzheng, ever the ruthless tactician, decides to twist the blade further by involving the entire extended family in a chaotic, self-destructive web of misery. Just as the plans are finalized, an unexpected visitor arrives. Prince Yi appears at the manor, his presence shrouding the room in mystery, forcing Xiao Hanzheng to set aside his schemes to greet the noble guest. Beneath the mask of pleasantries, the two men size each other up. Princey claims to be seeking medical treatment, but Xiao Hanzheng remains wary, sensing that the prince's arrival is no mere coincidence. The examination reveals more than just physical ailments. Xiao Hanzheng discovers the depths of Liang Yulin's internal strength and his hidden struggles, finding a surprising common ground with the enigmatic prince. With the skill of a master, Xiao Hanzheng begins the treatment, blending medicinal baths with acupuncture. He sees the potential to secure a powerful ally in Liang Yulin, a man who prefers the shadows over the brutal struggle for the throne. The atmosphere turns surprisingly intimate over a shared meal. Liang Yulin discards the formalities of his station, curious to observe the domestic life of the family, eager to see what dramas might unfold. The meal is interrupted by a familiar, unwelcome presence. Xiao Yuanqi arrives, expecting to manipulate the situation, only to find he has walked right into the audience he least wanted to impress. Attempting to salvage his dignity, Xiao Yuanqi tries to frame his visit as a benevolent act for his daughter. But Shi Qingluo quickly picks apart his performance, exposing the hypocrisy behind his words before Liang Yulin. The hunter becomes the hunted. Mother Xiao seizes the opportunity, forcing Xiao Yuanqi to commit to a grand act of compensation, demanding he pay to repair a road, turning his pride against him. Xiao Yuanqi realizes he is walking into a trap of his own making. To reject the request would be to humiliate himself before Prince Yi, leaving him no choice but to agree to the public labor. Liang Yulin realizes Mother Xiao is far sharper than anyone anticipated. She isn't just seeking compensation. She is digging a pit for Xiao Yuanqi to fall into, ensuring he gains no favor from the commoners he exploits. Forced to put his promise in writing, Xiao Yuanqi bristles under the scrutiny. Mother Xiao refuses to let him off the hook, insisting he document his guilt and the strict timeline for the road repairs. Every interaction serves as a reminder of his past failures. Xiao Yuanqi tries to act the loving father, but Xiao Erlang treats him with a cold, performative respect that cuts deeper than any insult. The final humiliation arrives when Mother Xiao takes up the brush herself. With newfound confidence, she reveals the literacy and grace she cultivated after escaping her life of servitude, shaming the former general. Standing tall, Mother Xiao compares her calligraphy to Xiao Yuanqi's, forcing him to face his own mediocrity. His pride is in tatters, yet he remains trapped by the presence of Prince Yi. The lesson continues as Xiao Hanzheng effortlessly outclasses his father's handwriting. The refined critique from Prince Yi confirms Xiao Yuanqi's decline, leaving him feeling like an outsider in his own family's presence. Unable to retaliate and desperate to escape, Xiao Yuanqi is forced to endure the final barb from Shi Qingluo. He is full of rage, but the social trap set by the family prevents him from lashing out. In the end, it is Xiao Erlang who delivers the final strike, requesting to stay at the general's residence. Xiao Yuanqi agrees, unaware that he has just invited a wolf into his own home, perfectly orchestrated by the family he once discarded. Xiao Yuanqi fled the manor as if escaping a trap, his hurried departure leaving behind the sharp, amused gazes of those who knew he had been outplayed by the family he once discarded. With a keen sense of protection, Xiao Hanzheng armed his younger siblings with antidotes and warnings, knowing that stepping into the general's residence was akin to walking into a den of vipers. The general's return to the capital was not the solo journey he anticipated. The unexpected arrival of his estranged children left him struggling to mask his irritation behind a forced, diplomatic smile. Back at the estate, Ji Chunru, draped in finery, had her welcome ruined by the sight of the two siblings she despised, signaling the beginning of a cold, calculated domestic war. The air crackled with hostility as Xiao Bailey dismantled Ji Chunru's performative grace with sharp words, refusing to play the part of the submissive, maltreated girl of the past. Xiao Erlang's calculated innocence was a blade to the heart, as he insistently addressed Ji Chunru with titles meant for common prostitutes, turning every polite greeting into a public insult. Xiao Yuanqi realized too late the trap he had sprung for himself. The children he hoped to control had arrived, not as guests, but as auditors of his crumbling authority and strained sanity. Every attempt by Xiao Yuanqi to assert his seniority was met with cold, surgical logic from his daughter, who delighted in reminding everyone of the broken ties that severed his authority. The siblings' refusal to be cowed forced the general into a corner, compelling him to host them in his best quarters, despite his intense desire to throw them out of the estate entirely. Observers within the household watched the spectacle with hidden glee. For once, the prideful general and his lady found themselves weaponless against the biting wit of the children they had once cast aside. Mastering the art of emotional manipulation, Xiao Bailey feigned tears to force concessions from her father, effectively extorting a hot spring manor and the funding for charity porridge as the price for her silence. Shi Qingluo's greed fueled her outrage when she discovered the property deal, yet she was powerless to stop it, forced to watch as her own resources were used to pay for the sins against the daughter she despised. The damage to the general's reputation was systematic. By casting him as a man bullied by his wife, the siblings ensured that every act of generosity he performed served only to isolate him further in the eyes of society. Inside the shadows of the mansion, the concubine Tao Liu played a dangerous game of snitching, using the general's own insecurities to turn him against his wife, creating a web of domestic distrust that the general could not escape. The domestic strife culminated in an act of violence that backfired spectacularly. Shi Qingluo's attempt to discipline the concubine merely provided the perfect opportunity for the general to turn his back on her entirely. A miracle, or perhaps a tactical strike, was revealed by the physician. The concubine was with child. The news transformed the general's frustration into a protective obsession, shifting the household hierarchy overnight. Tao Liu cemented her position by positioning herself as the innocent victim of a jealous wife, effectively convincing the general that his own household was a danger to his unborn heir. With his wife now relegated to her chambers and his house in turmoil, Xiao Yuanqi stood amidst the wreckage of his personal life, unknowingly orchestrated by the children and the pawn he had invited under his own roof. With the news of her pregnancy, Tao Liu finds herself calculating her future, spurred on by the secret messages from Shi Qingluo to challenge Shi Qingluo's position. Xiao Yuanqi expertly manipulates Shi Qingluo, feigning concern for her health to trap her in her courtyard, while he hides the truth about Tao Liu's pregnancy. In the comfort of their home, Shi Qingluo and Xiao Hanzheng celebrate the growing complications within the general's residence, plotting their next steps to ensure justice for the past. Xiao Bailey continues her charity work, winning the hearts of the commoners, while Xiao Yuanqi's forced funding makes him an object of public ridicule. The capital is buzzing with gossip about Xiao Yuanqi's perceived guilt, and his frustration reaches a boiling point when he realizes Xiao Erlang is draining his coffers for charity. Adding to his misery, Xiao Yuanqi is forced to grovel and apologize to the powerful county palace officials after Xiao Erlang intervenes in their affairs. Overwhelmed by the chaos and the financial ruin brought upon by his children, Xiao Yuanqi makes the desperate decision to force them out of his home. Xiao Bailey and Xiao Erlang remain unflappable, turning the tables on Xiao Yuanqi with their sharp tongues and moral high ground. Xiao Erlang effectively shames Xiao Yuanqi, accusing the general of losing his backbone and failing to protect the weak, leaving the man speechless. Desperate to escape his children's expensive antics, Xiao Yuanqi attempts to couch his eviction as a caring gesture to reunite them with their family. The children capitalize on their departure, leaving Xiao Yuanqi feeling a mix of relief and uneasy doubt as he realizes he has been outmaneuvered once again. Shi Qingluo throws a tantrum, demanding that Xiao Yuanqi save her brother, causing the general to regret his earlier indulgence of her. As Shi Qingluo insists on returning to the northern border immediately, Xiao Yuanqi reaches his limit, realizing that her devotion lies more with her brother than with him. Using soft words and pillow talk, Tao Liu cements her control, further isolating Shi Qingluo and keeping the true state of the household hidden. Once inseparable lovers drift further apart, with Xiao Yuanqi grounding Shi Qingluo to prevent her from causing further scandal as their relationship crumbles into resentment. Emerging from the grueling examinations with poise, Xiao Hanzheng is greeted by Shi Qingluo, their bond shining brightly amidst the exhausted crowd. A chance encounter with Zhuo Jun, a fellow scholar, leaves Shi Qingluo unsettled. Her sharp intuition detects a strange, underlying hostility and intensity directed at her husband. Alarmed by the unexplained animosity, Shi Qingluo warns Xiao Hanzheng to be cautious, sensing that Zhuo Jun is far more than a simple friend. The capital is alive with the fervor of the imperial examinations. Amidst the high-stakes gambling dens where fortunes are made or lost, Shi Qingluo fearlessly bets 10,000 taels on her husband to secure the top spot, embodying the mantra that being rich is merely a choice to be willful. While others fret over the intense competition, Xiao Hanzheng displays a composed confidence. Even as Cai Yiyang questions his audacity, he remains firm in his belief, proving that proximity to his brilliant wife has only sharpened his own resolve. The moment of truth arrives. News spreads like wildfire through the streets. Xiao Hanzheng has triumphed, clinching the title of Huiyuan. The room erupts in celebration as Shi Qingluo offers her heartfelt congratulations to her brilliant, newly crowned husband. Victory is sweet, and it is shared among friends. As Zai Rui and his companions toast to Xiao Hanzheng's success, they look toward the future, hopeful that he might achieve the legendary feat of the Big Three Yuan in the upcoming court examinations. Word of Xiao Hanzheng's success sends ripples of unease through the general's residence. Xiao Yuanqi is haunted by the past, feeling a growing bitterness as he realizes the son he once hoped to nurture has surpassed all expectations, leaving him feeling obsolete. In her secluded quarters, Ji Chunru is consumed by rage. The news of the little bastard's glory fuels her desire for vengeance, leading her to reach out to her sister, Ji Chunying, to weave a dark web of conspiracy from within the safety of the prince's residence. Driven by her sister's request, Ji Chunying manipulates her way into Liang Hengxiao's study. She weaves a tale of sorrow regarding her brother, hoping to secure the second prince's support to sabotage the Xiao family, unaware of the prince's own cold-blooded calculations. The shadows deepen as Liang Hengxiao and Liang Hengyu discuss the utility of their pawns. Recognizing the ruthlessness of Xiao Yuanqi, the second prince resolves to sever his ties, indifferent to the destruction that will surely follow. Clad in the finery of a prince's concubine, Ji Chunying returns to the general's residence. She basks in the deference shown by the servants, a stark contrast to the girl who once lived under another's roof, now empowered by her newfound status. Sisters reunite to conspire. They plot to destroy Xiao Beilei's innocence, aiming to humiliate the entire Xiao family and stall Xiao Hanzheng's rise to power before the court examinations, blinded by their shared hatred. When Xiao Yuanqi arrives, the expected respect is missing. Ji Chunying brazenly challenges him, demanding better treatment for her sister. The general's patience wears thin as he realizes the extent of their ingratitude and the depth of their audacity. Disgusted and disillusioned, Xiao Yuanqi leaves the confrontation. The seed of doubt regarding his own investments has been planted, and he decides to let the sisters continue their schemes, curious to see exactly how far they are willing to fall. Unseen by the plotters, eyes follow their every move. A secret guard captures the details of their malicious intent, recording the venomous words spoken in the dark and reporting them back to the second prince's residence. Within the palace walls, the truth of Ji Chunying's poisoning plot is revealed. Liang Hengxiao is shocked to find the scorpion he has been harboring has turned her sting on his own consort, resolving to deliver a cruel and poetic justice. Instead of immediate action, Liang Hengxiao chooses a path of calculated cruelty. He decides to let Ji Chunying believe her schemes are succeeding, ensuring her eventual ruin will be far more devastating when the truth finally comes to light. Princes decide to play a hand in the unfolding drama. By subtly warning the Xiao family, they aim to ensure that when the Ji sisters spring their trap, they will be the ones to fall into the abyss they prepared for others. Forewarned is forearmed. Xiao Hanzheng and Shi Qingluo absorb Cai Yiyang's update with calm precision. They are already several steps ahead, turning the impending trap into an opportunity to expose their enemies once and for all. The day of the flower feast arrives. Ji Chunru attempts to maintain her dignity, but the biting whispers and cold shoulders of the capital's elite make her isolation palpable. She waits in agony for her trap to spring. In a show of unity and strength, Zai Rong accompanies Shi Qingluo and Xiao Beilei into the gathering. Their presence commands respect, effectively silencing any who might have considered siding with the disgrace of the general's household. Shi Qingluo greets Ji Chunru with a saccharine smile. The air in the garden shifts. The traps have been set, the pieces are in place, and the ladies in attendance prepare to watch the inevitable downfall of those who dared to challenge the Xiao household.